Welcome to Evolve with Grace with me, Stella Grace. Thank you so much for being here on my channel. It's an honour and a privilege to be talking with you today. I hope you're having a great week and looking forward to your weekend. If you're watching this later, it will not be entirely time sensitive. So hopefully there'll be lots of pearls of wisdom and interesting insights for these concepts at any time, any day. We are going to start with the current astrology, but also, and as always, how these beautiful universal themes and these fascinating concepts kind of can really relate to any time and to supporting us with the journey, with the navigating, with the evolution process at any time. So we've lovingly termed today summer loving, full of fun, and I love that for thinking about the current energies, thinking about Venus having gone into the sign of Leo yesterday. So on the 11th of July, Venus entered Leo, and there she will stay until around the 4th of August. So that does mean a lot of summer loving. So we love this kind of fun, playful energy, and I'm going to get into that in a moment. We're also going to talk about Mercury being in Leo, and we're going to talk about the big Uranus and Mars conjunction on the 15th and what that kind of energy looks like and what that means for things shifting and moving forwards. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the other kind of general collective energies as well at play at the moment. And as always, I will be interweaving lots of tools and tips and tricks as we go through on how we're best serving ourselves and thriving in these energies and life in general. So hope we are all doing super well. Thank you again for being here. Let's get into some of the content. So summer loving. So we are actually still in Cancer season. The sun is still in the sign of the watery sign of Cancer, and all those cozy and emotional feels and the sensitivity that we discussed in last week's video around that being really great to connect in with people intuitively, to really connecting with how we feel about things, with really getting close to our loved ones, close to our tribe, close to family, getting the balance really in the right essence there within ourselves, within our own feminine and masculine energies, which we covered all of that and more last week. There's still lots of content there and in previous weeks, previous videos that really serve for tools and for insights at any time. So if you haven't gone back and seen if anything takes your fancy in some previous content, please do. But we do have an ongoing theme of Cancerian feels. So Cancerian season for another couple of weeks, our collective life force energy, the sun being there, we have that sensitivity, we have that access to our intuitive sides, we have that access to our divine mother within, for all of us, men or women, you know, that ability to nurture, to protect, to defend, to support, to bring nourishment, care, love, increased sensitivity, all of those things we still have in our collective life force energy for another few weeks. So that is all those cozy kind of feels. What we have had shift yesterday with Venus in Leo is this real focus point on our love and relationships, specifically shifting into the fire sign of Leo, which is all about the boldness, the drama, the romance, the playfulness. And there's a really warm energy with Venus in Leo. I really love this energy. I'm a little bit biased because my own natal sign of Venus is in Leo, and I actually really enjoy this placement in my chart. It's one of the more fun and light aspects, and it's a really, really warm energy. So if you think about the archetypes of the zodiac and how they kind of reflect different aspects of our personalities, all of us, you know, you think about the lion and the lioness, they're royal. It's like that royalty in oneself, and that's very different to the arrogance or superiority on the spectrum of Leo. So if we think about the higher and lower aspects of each of the zodiac signs is quite a good way to think about it. So, you know, we can all kind of deem ourselves or different parts of ourselves as good and bad, because it's a superhuman thing to do, isn't it, to judge something as good and bad. But actually it just is, you know, expressions of, there's these expressions of different parts of self. So with the zodiac signs, I like to think about it as a spectrum on the kind of range of different aspects of a sign, and we all have our higher and lower qualities as humans, as individuals, and all the zodiac signs really represent these higher and lower aspects really well. We can kind of see them in this quite it's easy to talk about in a quite sort of defined sense, and of course remembering that we bring the fluidity, we bring the subjectivity, we bring the resonance or not to this. So please take what resonates and disregard what doesn't. But if we think for a minute about the spectrum of the traits of Leo and Leo energy generally, we've got some really interesting factors to think about when we're looking at it being in Venus, that the Venus being there in our sign of love and relationships. Now, of course, relationships, and if you've heard any of my content before, you'll know I always say relationships always start with the self. So the most important relationship being the one that we have with ourselves. And of course, when that is nurtured and our cup is full, it naturally radiates into those around us, and then also in turn in the collective ripple of consciousness. So always with any Venus energy, any activations that she's making in the sky, anytime she changes signs and we start to think about what she's embodying in the next sign, we always think about relationships starting with self. It's a really great starting point. And then onto our loved ones, our businesses, our partnerships, our romance, all of those areas, all relationships, starting with the self. So Venus in Leo, thinking about Leo is, let's say, on the lighter side, on the higher, on the more evolved energy of Leo. And let's say we've got this really beautiful sovereignty energy, royal in oneself. It's a real solidity. So again, if we think about the lioness and the lion, how proudly they sit, how solid they are in themselves, it's a solid energy. Leo is a fire sign, it's a fixed fire sign. So it's quite determined, it's very, as I was saying, warm, romantic, playful, but also very solid in oneself. That sovereignty is like a royalty that's very clear. It demands respect and authority, but not in the sense of being too disciplinarian. It's more of a just knowing one's worth, really knowing one's worth solidly, and just having that deep insight and that deep solidity. It's not shaken easily, unless we're into the lower aspect of Leo, which is more of an egotistical, egocentric kind of superiority. There can be the superiority complex, there can be the arrogance, there can be these kind of different aspects. So the royalty in oneself is absolutely very different to that. We talk about that solidity there in contrast to the kind of more arrogance of everything needs to be about me. That Leo dramatic, Leo flair can again be on the higher or lower end. So we want to avoid any kind of frivolous or superficial drama, because Leo loves a bit of drama and the limelight, and again, that's all good, but it's thinking about where on that spectrum the kind of Leo energy fits. So you may see this playing out around you, you may feel these aspects coming up within yourself, you may notice it in your relationships because it's Venus. So this is an amazing time to shower yourself and your loved ones with love, like showering them with love, showering yourself with love. Leo doesn't do things by halves, it does things very boldly, very dramatically, likes to make an entrance, likes to be in the limelight. So if you think about that with romantic gestures, it's a really beautiful time to be, treating oneself, treating others, and we can see those, those beautiful aspects. What we want to avoid is, the lower ends or the lower aspect around wanting to be center of attention, noticing where in ourselves, if we're on a path of evolution or we want to think about self-development, noticing in ourselves what's requiring our attention. Because if we're looking for attention or wanting to be the object of attention, that's kind of more than we're actually kind of receiving. If that's not happening organically and we're wanting that, where is it that we need to love on ourselves? you know, what is it that your system is asking you for if you're wanting more attention, if it's not kind of naturally happening, or if it's not naturally overspilling from you into others, and from others into you as well. So of course we deserve attention. You know, again, this is back to that royalty in oneself. We absolutely all deserve the very best. We deserve to be treated with a high level of regard, like up there, you know, knowing our worth, knowing our value. These are all great themes that are in, you know, tie in with Leo, but also are just great for us knowing ourselves, knowing who we are, knowing what we deserve. And this is a really great time to be adopting that kind of sovereignty. Now, this leads me nicely into Mercury also in Leo. So we've got all that beautiful energy in our relationships and our themes of love, self-love, and love relationships with others. But Mercury in Leo is also giving us a really great opportunity to really embed those sovereign suggestions within our thinking, within our communication. And of course, again, that always starts with self. So an invitation here for you to think about, how do you think about yourself? How do you address yourself throughout the day? Is it with kindness? Is it with love? Is it with value? Is it with self-worth? Because if it's not, this is another really good opportunity, and there's various opportunities to do this at any time. In fact, you don't even need an opportunity to do this work. I'm just offering you some of the energetic flavors that might resonate for you to think, oh yes, I'm gonna, you know, utilize that opportunity. But we can do this work any day, any time. So please don't wait for an astrological aspect to be aligned to do this stuff. But I do talk about, let's jump on the energies, let's, you know, use what's current to support us and thrive. So if you're not already using that opportunity, here's another one for you to think about how you're showing up for yourself. How are you making your own grand gestures of love for yourself and others? Because we don't want to wait for other people to do it. We don't want to wait for validation from another. Now, yes, we all absolutely deserve that. So that, you know, really has to be resonating with us first. If we're not feeling self-worthy and we're not feeling deserving, it's quite likely that that's not showing up in our field. So if it's not showing up around you, here's the opportunity to really lay it on for yourself first, and then don't be surprised when it shows up in your field, because when you've kind of nailed that in your own energetic system, the universe will match that. It will, you know, it's that, I don't know how I feel about law of attraction as such, but I feel like what we focus on, we give momentum to. And I do 100,000,000% believe in frequency. So when we are a frequency, that just has a match and a reflection of what we are externally. It reflects. So it's a really interesting time when we're thinking about all this attention kind of energy. Where is that within yourself? Is there anything lacking? Is there anything niggling for you to love on yourself first, so that it can be matched in your external world? Mercury in Leo loves to make a bold gesture, bold entrances, bold communication. So this is an amazing time to, you know, share with others how much they mean to you. Again, bringing in those warm and playful and romantic gestures and vibes and energy and conversations. If you're not already having them, it's an amazing time for dating, for flirting, for fun, for adventures in your relationships. And again, if you're not in a relationship and not dating, then do those things with yourself. Take yourself out on a date. How solid and royal in oneself is that? I mean, you know, to be able to take oneself out on a date and just be quite happy to sit there solidly in your own value and your own brilliance. I mean, I think that's a super thing to do. It's something I haven't done loads of, but when I have, I've really enjoyed it, and something I've got on quite comfortable. I'd be able to do that in the last certainly few years, maybe a bit longer. And I think, again, it represents that real solidity in oneself. So where are you able to be even more solid in yourself at the moment? Where are you able to treat yourself like royalty, like the royalty that you are? We are all absolutely sovereign. This is an amazing reminder of our own power, of our own worth. Where are you feeling that? And where is that still a little out of alignment for you? Where could you be bringing it in even more? So these are some of the beautiful things to think about over the next 3 or 4 weeks while these close planets, so our Venus and our Mercury, is close to the Sun. Therefore, it is deemed that they have a strong influence on our solar system, on us, and the reflection, and how we're navigating, how we're doing this dance called life every day. So these close planets often have stronger influences. We've also got the Mars and Uranus conjunction coming up on the 15th. So this is going to be a fairly quick moving conjunction, an aspect in astrology that's fairly quick. So it's when two planets are very, very close together by the same degree in the sky at a snapshot at that time. They are deemed as very close together, and so they have a synergy and they have an impact on each other, and that synergy is then creative of an influence upon us. So with Mars and Uranus, what we've got here when they come together is the potential for some kind of explosive energy. Now, a bit of a caveat to that is actually that it's in the Earth sign of Taurus. So we have got that slow and steady, beautiful, earthy, fixed energy of Taurus that is, again, very sure of itself, like Leo, in that they share that they're a fixed sign. Fixed is, very solid energy. It doesn't move. Fixed earth doesn't move quickly. Fire with Leo is different. That kind of goes up and has that kind of warmth. But with fixed earth, we have got that solidity in the sense of, really with the earth realm, things don't move very fast. Now, again, we've got this dance here of where the synergy is, and where you can see the contradiction between the relationships of the parts that make up the sum of this astrological aspect, and those parts being quite different in that Mars can be very explosive. So Mars in Taurus, they're having this impact and this synergy of one thing being very slow and steady, and Mars coming in with some explosive energy. So it's not a natural kind of organic process. Mars in Taurus that's not its home. It's not its home sign, if you like. That would be Aries with the fire and with the explosive, impulsive energy. But Mars in Taurus can get things done on the earth realm. Mars in Taurus can bring amazing energy to all earthly related things, to all projects, to material wealth, resources, plans, projects, things like the market, things like your home and how that looks, or financial plans, that kind of thing, anything that's related to the material realm. Now, there might be some explosive changes to one of those areas, mostly because we have Uranus in the mix. Uranus likes to change things up. Now, Uranus is really interesting because it can sometimes feel like a inconvenience or a unpredictable change, but always, and I always say this with Uranus, it brings in change that's better for the longer term. So we don't always feel really comfortable with change as humans. It can be very inconvenient. There can be factors that may be of unforeseen circumstances, particularly with Uranus. It's abrupt change often. But again, remembering that synergy and remembering the caveats that it is in the Earth slow and steady sign of Taurus. So we've got these energies playing with each other in this beautiful way that really it does kind of bring about some change. So whatever feels a bit explosive this week, or erupting, or something new, something unexpected, or something triggering even, please trust that it's also going to all work out for the highest good, because these things always do. It just doesn't usually feel like it at the time. But we might also be surprised by some really positive changes happening with Uranus and our financial, material, or physical plane matters. So look out for that. It's often also, I think, really helpful to remember that change is really good for clearing stagnant energy. Now, I've just had some experience of this. Lots of things have changed in the last week. Lots of things have come up. I've been experiencing this sort of bit of an explosive change type energy for the last week, actually. And I'm not sure if it's in the run up to this, or if it's, we never quite know, but there's lots of different things at play. But I can really relate to this energy actually over the last week, and where things have come up and been challenging in the short term, what I have been really aware of is that they're clearing stagnant energy. So when we can go along the same, we can get in a real comfort zone, we can get into a real place of kind of feeling quite stuck. And it might not be until the changes occur that we actually become more aware of that. Like, I actually realized that I've been, it's nothing, there's not been anything negative, but I've actually been in a place that's been quite stagnant for some time. So actually these changes that have come about over the last week, whilst they haven't been easy circumstances, I don't mind sharing that, you know, one was a car incident, someone went into the back of me, another thing's been related to my house. And actually, although tricky things to deal with in the short-term scheme of lifing, are actually, what I'm realizing they're doing is they're clearing some stagnancy, they're making some change, and they're shifting things up for me. You know, if we think about the universe working for us, not against us, we can forget that when things feel hard or things come as a result of something really difficult, or there's an accident or something like that. Of course, in those moments, we're not thinking, oh, great, you know, this is change, this is clearing stagnancy. Of course we're not. And we, you know, of course want to spend the appropriate time and care and healing on whatever those situations need from us in the first instance. But they're always going to bring some change, and there's always going to bring some kind of process in the long run following that is, might not be how we imagined it, you know, shifting things up, changing things that actually might serve us better in the longer term down the line. So it's that kind of energy at the moment. I wish you all the best of love, luck and safety in that process. I'm not suggesting anyone's going to have car accidents. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is anything that shows up that's unexpected, that's inconvenient, that's, you know, outside of what you had been expecting, there might be an opportunity in it later, if not sooner. So see how this energy is kind of playing out for you. I'd love to hear in the comments if you're noticing anything like I have, if you're kind of, how you're working with this, if you're feeling the fun, flirty vibes of Venus in Leo, how you, I'd love to hear maybe one of your favorite royalty in oneself kind of tips, how you would treat yourself like royalty if you're not already, or one of your practices that you're already doing. I would love to hear that. So please do share, because then we can share tips and other people can see them as well. So please do share in the comments if you have a moment. And we'll finish with a card today. I was actually a little bit torn because we've got the beautiful energies. I'm going to go with the healing waters because we're still in Cancer season. Let's go for one of these beautiful healing waters cards by Rebecca Campbell, as we are still in the lovely cozy watery vibes of Cancer with our collective life force energy, the sun still there. So let's just check in for a moment and intend that we are receiving a message for the highest good of all today. And what would we be seeing for that, please? Now we've got, oh, how amazing. So birth mysteries. That's really beautiful. What are you being called to create? I love that. So I'd again love to hear in the comments, please. What are you being called to create right now? I'll share mine. I'm creating some change at the moment. I'm bringing in some new energy into my life with my work. I'm still creating my book and my oracle deck. And that is all going really well behind the scenes, but I'm also creating some new stuff in my current day-to-day work that I didn't see coming at all, taking on a little bit of different work there. So that's what I'm being called to create. What about you? How's it all going, and what are you being called to create? Because these beautiful birth mysteries, again, we don't always know, we don't always maybe foresee what we're being called to create. Sometimes we have these beautiful long-term projects like a book and an oracle deck. Other times we are shown something really new in the short term and then are called to create something new from there. So how can you be using anything like that as an opportunity to work for you today? Sending so much love. It's a pleasure and a privilege as always. Thank you for being here and have a super weekend.